Now, there is no denying the fact that 2024 is just as bad of a year as 2023 for the Walt Disney Company. Maybe not quite as bad, but it's very close based on all the firings that took place between various projects, whether it's Marvel Studios or Lucasfilm or Pixar or anything else related to the Disney Company, and a lot of flops and ratings disasters across the board for Bob Iger's reputation, which really isn't a good one at that, by the way. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So, we know that the Star Wars franchise is and has been in shambles. I mean, let's just be honest here, it's really not going anywhere. I mean, they can make movies all they want, like The Mandalorian and Grogu, or Jedi Prime, or that Rey movie. Even if they all do eventually release, I don't even think they are going to really turn the table or really turn things around. I think at the end of the day, what they did is what they did, and it's irreversible damage. That's just how I see it. Others out there, like you guys, may have differing opinions, but I'm focusing on what's been going on here with the Acolyte series. Now, we know that there's a lot of cast members, so to speak, those like Amandla Stenberg and now Jodie Turner-Smith, who have been caught up in endless drama between themselves and the Disney heads, the studio heads, you name it, and everything else going on in between. Now, what's interesting here is that we know that Jodie Turner-Smith has been pretty much on an endless rant for the past like 2.5 weeks toward the Star Wars fandom, blaming both Disney and blaming the Star Wars community for why the Acolyte got cancelled, and well, to say the least, it put her in a very tough and bad spot. Let's get into this. Now, with Lucasfilm considered one of the worst divisions of the Disney Company, if not the worst, one significant development going on now involves more to do with actress Jodie Turner-Smith, who recently got into serious trouble with the Disney heads as her time at Lucasfilm is now officially over after scapegoating and blaming the Walt Disney Company for enabling the so-called toxic fans and the toxic side of the Star Wars fandom. It turns out that there was one more Star Wars spin-off series on the table that was not quite cancelled just yet and was in limbo mode that was going to dive into the origin stories of the Witches of Brendok. The series was going to feature Jodie Turner-Smith as the main character this time around. This was both Kathy and Leslie's original plan to create an Acolyte verse, so to speak, after Turner-Smith reportedly fell into aggressive arguments with the Disney studio heads and even some of those at Lucasfilm and blaming them for the cancellation of the Acolyte. Those like Bob Iger and the board realized that Jodie Turner-Smith was too difficult to work with and a major risk to keep on for upcoming Star Wars projects, especially the major spin-off series that has now been axed after her removal. This leaves now zero Acolyte spin-off series left on the Disney table, or the Disney roster, or roadmap if you will, and Jodie was recently let go from making any kind of cameos that she was supposed to make in other Star Wars projects that are still a go, that will dive into flashbacks of the High Republic era. Now, her character Mother Anastasia, you guys may remember her, the power of many, was also fully intended to make cameos in other upcoming films and TV shows, and that is now officially no longer moving forward after she went on to blame and went on a blame game train about Disney publicly and blaming them for listening to toxic fans. Disney saw this as a very damaging effect by Jodie Turner-Smith as she continues her rants about the current status of the Star Wars community, shifting away from the brand entirely. In addition to all of this, those like Amandla Stenberg, who was also fired and removed and let go from various Lucasfilm projects after her music video dropped, and that whole disaster, is already a reason why Disney took action. Now, Jodie is already playing both the race card and how this decision was made because she was a woman. These bold claims behind the scenes that Jodie made, of course, toward the Disney studio heads were also directed entirely at Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, and it's creating rising tensions behind the scenes between Lucasfilm entirely as the headquarters and the Disney studio. Now, guys, let me stop here for one moment. Now, the fact that we have that many cast members on the Acolyte series that are argumentative like this, that say the most outrageous things, both publicly and internally, that really got themselves in trouble in a massive way. I mean, we all saw what Amandla Stenberg did about 103 times, really blaming the toxic fans, blaming males, toxic males in particular. Also blaming, to a degree, even also the Disney studio heads, and that didn't work out for her too well in the end as well. Here you have a very similar scenario with Jodie Turner-Smith, and look where that put her. Same exact scenario, quite in a similar fashion. The only difference is that Amandla Stenberg took it up a notch. She actually posted a music video mocking Star Wars fans. The Disney executives kept on pressuring her, take that down, take that down, take that down. She refused. And basically that's really what was the tipping point that got her the boot from Lucasfilm. Now, about Jodie Turner-Smith, alright, we know that she is just as bad as Amandla Stenberg. She is no saint at the end of the day. But what makes it a little bit more different is that she's more heavy than Amandla Stenberg was on blaming Disney, alright? She will blame pretty much anybody or anyone at this point why the Acolyte was cancelled, except for her peers that she worked with on set, right? Now, the Acolyte series as a whole, we know that it was indeed a ratings disaster. There's no denying that. Numbers don't lie via the Nielsen ratings reports. You can say one thing about reviews, okay? That's one thing. And even that is, up in the air. Most of those reviews, let's be honest, were all negative and had a lot of valid reasons behind them. And a lot of people rightfully did not like the Acolyte. The reviews are real. I'm not saying they're fake at all, but you're having a lot of cast members claiming they're fake. What's interesting about the ratings is that they even went as far to claim that the ratings are not necessarily accurate because there's a silent majority of fans, right? We heard this from Kathleen Kennedy, Leslie Headland, Amandla Stenberg, that there's a silent majority of fans of the Acolyte that are afraid to speak up. Now, to actually end things here, she goes on to conclude, just in time, of course, where we all know that Jodie Turner-Smith is also trying to use her partner Amandla Stenberg, one of her closest peers that she worked with on set. She is now trying to combat against the Disney studio heads. That's basically her end game right now, to do a desperate move to reinstate her role. Now, to really conclude things here, alright, this is all just in time for when Elon Musk, by the way, and Gina Carano are preparing to kickstart their lawsuit against Lucasfilm for what happened back in 2021, which is not a good final quarter of this year to begin with in the first place for Bob Iger and what he's dealing with behind closed doors. This marks the third Acolyte cast member that was fired and removed from Lucasfilm for their behavior and actions, both publicly and internally, and it's only making things worse for the image of the Walt Disney Company. So again, like I said before, the Acolyte is the very reason why the Rey movie is on hold. Alright, you guys may be wondering, what the heck is a Rey movie? Rey Skywalker, right? As Lucasfilm likes to call her, that's supposed to be directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. That's now on hold, and we actually talked about this a couple of months ago. This most likely would happen in some way, shape, or form, from whatever cause it may be. In this scenario, the Acolyte's ratings disaster, I think, made it ultimately clear that these agenda-driven projects just aren't working anymore. And whether or not that's Disney's response to that, we'll have to wait and see. But overall, I would like to hear what you all have to say about that below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.